So a lot of surgical considerations, they go, come to your mind once you're doing a knee which has fused or there is restriction of movement. Sometimes what happens is the patella, because of the disease process, is actually fused to the anterior aspect of the knee joint.
So before the surgery, always do the grinding.
Yes.
And assess how much is
the movement is.
Compare with both the sides, and if it's a bilateral affair, see how much is the normal excursion. This can give you an idea how much is the mobility of the patella preoperative.
Yes. So if you're not able to move the patella, that means your quadriceps mechanism is fixed, and you might have to osteotomatize the patella. So that is the first step. Once you've done a medial parapatellar incision here, once you've given that incision, you have to actually invert the patella to get the knee moving and then do the further steps. So if you're not able to do that, if the patella is already in a fused position on the anterior aspect, you might have to osteotomize that, which I'll show in my video as well as certain slides. And sometimes you have to do a quadriceps release, because the quadriceps is foreshortened, it is shortened. You might have to do either a tibial tubercle osteotomy. That means you have to cut the bone here on the tibial tubercle and then remove it as a chunk with the patellar tendon attached there. So that is called a tibial tubercle osteotomy, which you can actually later on take it higher and then fix it later on once the surgery has been done. The other thing that you can do is a Z-plasty of the rectus. So a rectus Z-plasty, you can either use a quadriceps snip, where you actually go at the tendinous junction and you go laterally and give a snip to the quadriceps mechanism. That's called a quadriceps snip. Or a Z-plasty of the rectus might be needed so that you can invert the patella and release the quadriceps mechanism. That is very important for you to get movement in the knee joint so that you can expose the knee. So after you've done this, you've osteotomized from the medial side, you will go and do a lateral retinacular release. So once you've released medially, you've osteotomized the patella or released the patella, you go on to the lateral aspect and release the tissues there, where you might even have to release the lateral collaterals and the popliteus in an advanced fused knee. And lastly, but not least, you might have to release other structures on the lateral side, like the IT band attaching over here onto the Gerdy's tubercle, and also that can be done either in a Z-shaped manner, or you can do a pie crusting, which will tell you pie crusting is actually pithing technique. Like you can use a 11 number blade and then just do some kind of sieving procedure into the IT band, and then that can be released. So these are few considerations that you need to take care of while doing a fused knee, and while the exposure is of utmost important, because if you don't release this part, there are chances of you fracturing the patella, there are chances of you that you avers the patellar tendon, and if you do that, it's a problem situation, let me tell you. So you can use either of these procedures, like the quadriceps snip or the rectus or the tibial tubercle osteotomy, to actually release the quadriceps mechanism and invert it.
Or subluxate it.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
So once you have done that, once we have done this thing, we actually have to see whether your knee is in flexion or it is in extension. If it is like in flexion of around 30-40 degrees, then there are chances that you might be able to do a distal femur cut. So once you are able to approach into the distal femur here, you can just put in an intramedullary rod and take the distal femur cut, which I will show, which should be minimum of 10 millimeters. The normally recommended are 8 to 9 millimeters, but depending upon the flexion contracture you have, you might have to increase the distal femoral cut. So you can increase it by 2 to 4 mm also, depending upon your soft tissue releases and how much movement of how much extension you are able to get. So initial cut should be conservative. They should be 10 mm so that you don't end up releasing too much. And once you've done the distal femur, then you can either take an in situ proximal tibial cut with the jig placed, which I will show you here on the medial aspect, and you take a cut of the tibia, proximal tibia, which should be actually also 10 mm. It should not be the normal 8 mm, it should be little more, but it should not be too, you should not be too aggressive cutting 14-15 mm, And then you remove a biscuit of bone between these two bones, and once you have removed that, you will get adequate joint space. Then reassess the gap. If you are able to create a 20 millimeter rectangular gap, it's okay. If you are not able to do that, you might have to cut more bone or do more capsular or soft tissue releases.